Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adhikora Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adhikora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 19, Text 37. We have a verse, Prabhu? We have verse? Got it? Yeah? Okay. Bhavan paritratum ivahatirno Dharmam jnananam samayanurupam Vena pacharat avaluptam adya Tadehata Vishnu Kalasivanya Bhavam Paritratum Ivahatirno Dharmam Jnananam Samayanurupam Venapacharat Avaluptamadya Tadehatad Vishnu Kalasivanya Bhavan Paritratum Ivahatirno Dharmam Jnananam Samayanurupam Venapacharat Avaluptamadya Tadehata Vishnu Kalasivanya. Bhavan Paritratum Ivahatirno Dharmam Jnananam Samayanurupam Venapachara Navaluptamadya Tadehato Vishnu Kalasivanya. Would you like to try? It's okay. Oh, I see. Okay, no worries. Okay. Bhavan, Your Majesty, Paritratum, just to deliver, Iha, in this world, Avatirna, incarnated, Dharmam, religious system, Jnanam, of the people in general. Sorry, that's Jnanam, of the people in general. Samaya Anurupam, according to the time and circumstance. Vena Apacharat, by the misdeeds of King Vena. Avaluptam, almost vanished. Adya, at the present moment. Tat, his. Dehata, from the body. Vishnu, of the Lord. Kala, part of a plenary portion. Asi, you are. Vainya, O son of King Vena. Translation. O Prithu, O King Prithu, son of Vena, you are the part and parcel expansion of Lord Vishnu. Due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, religious principles were almost lost. At that opportune moment, you descended as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, for the protection of religious principles, you have appeared from the body of King Vena. Let's repeat. O King Prithu, son of Vena, you are the part and parcel expansion of Lord Vishnu. Due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, religious principles were almost lost. At that opportune moment, you descended as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, for the protection of religious principles, you have appeared from the body of King Vena. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The way in which Lord Vishnu kills the demons and protects the faithful is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 4:8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. In two hands, Lord Vishnu always carries the club and the chakra to kill demons, and in his other two hands he holds the conch shell and the lotus to give protection to his devotees. When his incarnation is present on this planet or in this universe, the Lord kills the demons and protects his devotees simultaneously. Sometimes Lord Vishnu appears in his person as Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. All these appearances are mentioned in the Shastras. Sometimes he appears as a Shakti Avesh avatar like Lord Buddha. As explained before, these Shakti Avesh avatars are incarnations of Vishnu's power invested in a living entity. Living entities are also part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, but they are not as powerful. Therefore, when a living entity descends as an incarnation of Vishnu, he is especially powered by the Lord. He is especially empowered by the Lord. When King Prithu is described as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, it should be understood that he is a Shakti Avesh avatar, part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, and is specifically empowered by him. Any living being acting as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu is thus empowered by Lord Vishnu to preach the bhakti cult. Such a person can act like Lord Vishnu and defeat demons by arguments and preach the bhakti cult exactly according to the principles of the Shastra. As indicated in Bhagavad Gita, whenever we find some extraordinary preaching, the bhakti cult, whenever we find someone extraordinary preaching the bhakti cult, we should know that he is especially empowered by Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya 7:11. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartana. One cannot explain the glories of the holy name of the Lord without being specifically empowered by him. If one criticizes or finds fault with such an empowered personality, one is sure to be considered an offender against Lord Vishnu and is punishable. Even though such offenders may dress as Vaishnavas with false tilak and mala, they are never forgiven by the Lord if they offend a pure devotee, a pure Vaishnava. There are many instances of this in the Shastras. Bhavan paritratum ivahartirno dharmam jananam samayanurupam vena pacharat avaluptya adya dehato vishnu kalasivanya. O King Prithu, son of Vena, you are part and parcel expansion of Lord Vishnu. Due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, religious principles were almost lost, and at that opportune moment you descended as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, for the protection of religious principles, you have appeared from the body of King Vena. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. What does this mean? It means that we come from His energies, not just our physical body, but us as spirit soul are parts of Krishna. That means that we are intimately, infinitely, and eternally connected to Krishna. We have that connection to Krishna, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we are a part of Him and we are parcel of Him. So it's interesting, these words, part and parcel of. It's not very commonly used English. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Raj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava ki jai. What does it mean to be part and parcel? Part means separation. Part means that we are linked to but separate from. If a screw is a part of the machine, that means that there's a machine and there's a screw. There's two different things. But the screw has a function within the machine. That means that the screw is separate from the machine, but is linked to the machine in purpose, in fulfillment of its purpose. We are part of Krishna. We are part of His divine energy. The 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says that earth, water, fire, air, ether, the mind, intelligence, ego, these are my separated energies. But you, Krishna is referring to the soul, you are higher than these energies. Because you have a spiritual purpose. You're linked to me. And that's what it means to be parcel of Krishna. To be parcel of Krishna means that we are separate from Him as part, but we are a parcel of Him. We are linked to Him. So separate from Him, but eternally linked to Him. And that is really the only glory we possess. Because we're an empty vessel. An empty vessel with the opportunity to serve Krishna. And that vessel, according to this purport, has the ability, the potential to be empowered by Krishna. That vessel has the opportunity and potential of being empowered by Krishna. On its own, it can't. Just as similar as the part, the screw, it has the potential of working in a bigger body, of working in a bigger mechanism. The potential is there. If it is guided in a certain way with some intelligence, it's placed by some engineer in a certain place, then it suits a higher function. And similarly, we, as part and parcel, we have the potential to be empowered by Krishna. This verse is spoken by, anybody knows who's speaking this verse? Oh, it's directly speaking to King Prithu. Do we know who's speaking to King Prithu? This is Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is speaking to King Prithu. And he's telling him that you are part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, but due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, mischievous activities, like, it sounds like you're telling a child like they're naughty. But Vena wasn't naughty, It wasn't like he's naughty. He, upset the living room or threw a tantrum in the mall, Vena was killing his playmates. So it was a little bit more than mischievous. But Vena was destroying religious principles. And then Krishna chooses this moment of utter darkness. He chooses that moment to descend as an incarnation of Vishnu. What does this mean? It means that Krishna chooses at this moment to allow Prithu to come and to empower him. To empower him in order to protect religious principles. So, King Prithu is a Shakti Avesh avatar. An avatar is an incarnation of Krishna. Avatar means one who descends, or incarnation, one who comes into flesh. So, incarnation, when Krishna expands, he expands in different ways. And there's expansions of Krishna that have his full potency. Like we see on the altar, we see Krishna, and if we look just at one of these pictures on the above, you'll see Krishna and Balaram. And Krishna, as we've heard through Balaram's appearance day, Krishna expands as Lord Balaram. And Lord Balaram has full potency of Krishna, full ability as Krishna, full power as Krishna. But Lord Balaram serves a different purpose. He serves the purpose of facilitating Krishna. Krishna also expands in terms of his Shakti, his energy. And that's how we have Srimati Radharani, whose appearance is coming up soon. He expands as Radharani, and this expansion of Krishna's energy is an expansion of Radharani manifests as different types of energy, but specific the Hladini Shakti of Krishna. Krishna is able to take the potency of him being pleased and manifest it in a physical form of Srimati Radharani. So any ability to please Krishna has to come through her, because she is the personification of the energy that can please Krishna. And then Krishna also, he expands as different aspects, but he also expands as the Tatastha Shakti, the in-between energy, which is you and I, the energy that can fall either material or spiritual. And you may notice how this happens in our life. We come to the temple and everything feels so spiritual. I can do this forever. Life is amazing. The kirtan is amazing. Like Janmashtami on midnight, the altar opens and suddenly your heart is full of devotion, and it's just, and the impression, the samskara comes there of wow. And then you wake up, the day after Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, and your body is all finished because you've been pushing it for 2 days, and then you feel like just a bunch of mode of ignorance. Can I just not get up from this bed for 48 hours, please? Both parts of that exist in us because we are the Tatastha Shakti. And as the Tatastha Shakti, we can place ourselves either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy. This is our nature. This is our nature. And the example is given by Srila Prabhupada that iron, when placed into fire, acts like fire. So if you have an iron and you place it into fire, it assumes the quality and the ability of heat. It assumes the quality of heat and the ability to burn. If you take a hot iron and you place it against something plastic, that plastic's gonna melt. There's no fire there, but the iron has assumed the heat of the fire, and therefore it acts like fire. But there's an antithesis to this story that Kadambakana Swami often mentions, is that when you take that iron and you take it out of that fire, what happens? Iron cools. And as the iron becomes cold, it no longer acts as fire. It no longer acts as fire. You can put it next to the plastic something and it won't melt it. So similarly, that is Tatastha Shakti. We will by nature, if we place ourselves in the flow of the material energy, we will be attracted by the material energy. And if we place ourselves in the flow of the spiritual energy, we will be attracted by that spiritual energy. That is Tatastha. That is us being in between. Now, jivas are souls that come into this world, into a physical material body. Someone like Srimati Radharani, she's not a soul existing in a body. Srimati Radharani is all soul. Every aspect of her is all soul. When you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that Srimati Radharani's earrings are Krishna's name and Krishna's fame. Just think about that for a second. Her earrings are personified and they're constantly chanting Krishna's names and Krishna's fame. So Srimati Radharani's body physically is all spirit. But the Tatastha Shakti, you and I, the Tatastha Shakti is the in-between energy, and we are jiva. We are particles of spirit that have separated ourselves from the spiritual world and have now become encased in a body. King Prithu is such a particle. He is part of the Tatastha Shakti, and it's a particle of spirit that has not fallen into the spiritual world, but has descended into the spiritual world by the will of Krishna and assumed a physical body. And it is the jiva tattva, it is the jiva that can become a Shakti Avesh avatar, especially empowered by Krishna. So it's a very, very crucially important point for us to comprehend, because when Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, he is describing the Shakti Avesh avatar, one who is empowered. And it may seem like something fantastical, but when we read Srila Prabhupada's purport and when we look at Srila Prabhupada's life, we see in the black and white how Srila Prabhupada is the Shakti Avesh avatar. How he is a jiva who's chosen, who's asked to come into this world and assume a physical body. And I say a physical body because we see that that body ages. Srila Prabhupada's body aged. However, even though he is especially empowered by Krishna, And when Srila Prabhupada says here, any living being acting as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu is thus empowered by Lord Vishnu to preach the cult, the bhakti cult. As a person can act like Lord Vishnu and defeat demons by arguments and preach the bhakti cult exactly according to the principles of Shastra. As indicated in Bhagavad Gita, whenever we find someone extraordinarily preaching the bhakti cult, we should know that he is especially empowered by Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. One cannot explain the glories of the holy name of the Lord without being specially empowered by him. So, we see Srila Prabhupada sitting in front of the tree in Tompkins Square Park with his bongo drum, just chanting Hare Krishna in a melody, that's simple, with concentration on his face so deep that the veins on the side of his forehead seemed to pop. And from that mantra, from the mantras that he chanted under that tree in Tompkins Square Park, from that place, the entire Hare Krishna movement manifested, with hundreds and hundreds of temples, thousands, hundreds of thousands of devotees, with deities, with projects, with programs, with so many ways, facilities, everything expanded from Srila Prabhupada sitting under that tree and chanting Hare Krishna. And this purport is telling us that one cannot explain the glories of the holy name without being specifically empowered. At that point, Srila Prabhupada didn't need to explain it. By the potency of him chanting those mantras, the entire world was changing. The physical structure, the subtle structure, it was changing by Srila Prabhupada chanting those mantras. You cannot do that if you're not empowered. And he is saying here that the demons and arguments, to be able to defeat demons by arguments. What is Srila Prabhupada's books except counteracting destructive philosophies by argument? When we come to Krishna consciousness, you don't come because you may initially come, but we don't stay because we're just looking for some tradition. Do this, do that, turn around 3 times, follow this process and your life will be better. This, not process, but these actions. And so we come because suddenly what was just based on tradition is given the grounding of logic, is given the grounding of Shastra, is given intellectual backing so that it makes sense. It makes sense to us. And it's the moment when it makes sense that we actually think, this is something I'll do for the rest of my life. And the only reason that it can make sense to us is because Srila Prabhupada presented the Shastra. He presented the Shastra with such deep logic and such deep understanding that what he presented could not be contested. It just could not be contested if you had any sincerity. And that is how Srila Prabhupada was empowered. And we also see it. We also see it in just the life of Srila Prabhupada. If the philosophy is not what convinces us, hearing about the life of Srila Prabhupada, that for me personally is the most convincing factor. It's the most convincing factor. When Srila Prabhupada went to Moscow, it was firstly within the whole KGB rule. It was still the Iron Curtain. There was no way that they would have allowed a religious man past the border, or like stepping out of immigration. There was no way they would have allowed it. And he was stopped at the airport and told and held for like a long period of time. He struggled throughout of it, and then he was given, was it 48 hours? Possibly 48 hours by which he could remain in that city. And in that 48 hours, he spoke to one professor, Professor Kotovsky, because he had some communication with this professor before. And actually, in that conversation, you can see that the professor, he didn't have much argument or logic that could really counteract Srila Prabhupada. But it's not like he decided like, hey, I want to be a devotee. But Shyamasundar Prabhu was traveling with Srila Prabhupada. He carried a Bhagavad Gita, and he carried a record, or maybe it wasn't a record, but he carried a Bhagavad Gita, which was, at that point, if you were caught with a copy of the Bhagavad Gita in Russia, you could be imprisoned and killed. It's not even like a maybe. If they found it on you, they would imprison you and kill you. But when Shyamasundar went out to the market and he tried to find something that Prabhupada could eat in a land where it's very famous for vodka and potatoes, which is also made of potatoes. But it was very hard for him to get the vegetables. But Shyamasundar meets one boy, who was connected to an Indian person, one Russian local, connected to an Indian immigrant, and he takes them to Srila Prabhupada. And they were interested in him because he had a record from the Beatles. And at that time, that was counterbrand in Russia. And so Srila Prabhupada speaks to one Russian soul. One Russian soul. For practically speaking, one day. A single day. And he leaves the country. He leaves the country. And from that simple encounter, that tiny encounter, the entire Hare Krishna movement in Russia, which is like bursting on the seams, probably outside of India, the most devotees we have in the whole world come from Russia. And when you go to India, you see especially Vrindavan and Mayapur, the throngs of Russian devotees that are there. From one soul. That is empowerment. That is Shakti Avesh Avatar. That is what a individual soul that allows themselves to be the carrier of Krishna's mercy. That is what they can achieve. One associate of Lord Chaitanya has the potential to change the universe. But what does that mean for us? We, as the Tatastha Shakti, as part and parcel of Krishna, have also within us the potential and ability to be empowered. We cannot become the founder Acharya, and neither do we want to. But we can be empowered by Srila Prabhupada, as Srila Prabhupada was empowered by Krishna. And we can be empowered, and unless we are empowered, we will not be able to further Srila Prabhupada's movement, unless Prabhupada chooses to empower us. But it's not that we sit hopeless in that choice. It's not that like, I'm sitting now, let's wait. One day now, Prabhupada's going to empower us. No. It's that we have to make ourselves suitable vessels to carry that empowerment. We have to become suitable vessels to carry the empowerment of the Shakti Avesh avatar. And the question comes, what will it take? What will it take for us to become vessels of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, so that they can truly effect change in the world, so that truly the spiritual revolution that Srila Prabhupada ignited within this movement can take the full force, and that we're not just every day dragging our feet, chanting our rounds, doing our service, and okay, I did my bit for the day. And even though that in itself is glorious, that in itself is not enough to say that I'm a follower of Srila Prabhupada, because we have to imbibe his spirit. And his spirit was that the world is meant to change. And we can change the world if we become vessels of Srila Prabhupada's empowerment. So I'm going to stop here. If there's any thoughts or comments or questions, we can deal with them now. Okay, thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande.